The roar of piston engines, the thin line of smoke across the cold European sky, and a lone aircraft turning sharply against the sun. In that fleeting moment, skill and instinct decided not only survival, but also a place in history. Among the countless pilots who took to the skies during World War II, one name rises above all others: Erich Hartmann. With 352 confirmed aerial victories, he became the most successful fighter ace the world has ever known. But numbers alone do not explain his legend. Behind them lay discipline, instinct, and a philosophy of air combat that defined an era. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Many more captivating journeys into history are ahead. Erich Alfred Hartmann was born on the 19th of April, 1922, in southern Germany. His father was a physician who had served in World War I, while his mother was one of the first women in Germany to earn a pilot's license. Aviation was part of family life, and young Erich quickly absorbed this passion. As a teenager, he joined a gliding club, the only way Germans could legally fly after the restrictions of the Versailles Treaty. The glider fields of the 1930s were both playground and training ground for a future generation of pilots. By the age of 16, Hartmann was already instructing others. His calm and precise handling of aircraft set him apart. It was clear that he had a natural gift, but just as important was his ability to remain composed under pressure. In 1940, he entered the Luftwaffe's pilot school. At first, he was considered average. Talented but undisciplined. He sometimes pushed too hard in practice flights, which earned him reprimands. Yet these early mistakes forced him to reflect on what separated survival from failure. He learned that success in the cockpit required not only quick reflexes, but also patience, self-control, and respect for limitations. This realization shaped his entire career. By 1942, with the war at full intensity, Hartmann graduated as a fighter pilot and was assigned to Jagdfliegers 52, one of the Luftwaffe's most active fighter wings on the Eastern Front. Among seasoned aces, he found himself both intimidated and inspired. The crucible of combat would soon test his philosophy of flying. Hartmann's first missions nearly ended in disaster. He once ran out of fuel and crash-landed, and for a time few believed he would last long. But his mentor, Walter Krupinski, taught him patience. Avoid wasteful dogfights, strike only when conditions are perfect, and never confuse courage with recklessness. From this advice came Hartmann's method. He closed in at the shortest distance before firing, sometimes so near that fragments from the enemy plane struck his own. Precision and surprise replaced prolonged battles. His guiding principle was to attack only with certainty of success. Just as important was his discipline. If a situation looked unfavorable, he broke off immediately, even at the risk of losing a potential victory. The vast Eastern Front offered both risks and opportunities. Soviet aircraft often flew in large groups, giving chances for ambushes, but flying several sorties per day demanded endurance. Hartmann adapted by conserving energy, striking swiftly, and then vanishing before the enemy could react. His Messerschmitt Bf-109, marked with black tulip petals on its nose, soon became a feared sight. Soviet pilots nicknamed him the Black Devil, and warnings of his presence were radioed across the front. By late 1943, his victories grew rapidly. Each mission showed the same formula: patience, awareness, and ruthless accuracy. It was not raw aggression, but an almost mathematical approach to combat, repeated again and again with consistent results. 1944 was Hartmann's decisive year. He achieved more than 300 victories in 12 months, sometimes shooting down several aircraft in a single day. His principle was summarized as see, decide, attack, disappear. It was a cycle that reflected discipline more than daring. The Bf-109 was not flawless, with short range and demanding handling, but Hartmann turned its strengths, climb rate, speed, and concentrated firepower, into assets. He knew the machine so well that he could sense the limits of its engine and frame. This intimacy with his aircraft allowed him to push it in ways that others might not dare, while still preserving safety. Recognition followed. He received the Knight's Cross with oak leaves, swords, and diamonds, one of Germany's highest military awards. Within his squadron, he became a respected figure, urging younger pilots not to chase glory, but to think first of survival and the mission. Victory without survival, he told them, is meaningless. By the war's final months, he had flown more than 1,400 combat sorties and achieved 352 confirmed victories, a record that remains unmatched. In comparison, the most successful Allied aces averaged around 30 to 40 victories. The combination of skill, endurance, and the relentless pace of combat on the Eastern Front explains this extraordinary gap. In May 1945, Hartmann was only 23 years old when Germany surrendered. Despite his record, he was captured by Soviet forces and imprisoned for 10 years. Conditions were harsh: hunger, illness, and forced labor. But he refused repeated offers to join the Soviet-backed East German military. His resilience in captivity echoed the discipline he had shown in the cockpit. Released in 1955, he returned to West Germany, where the Bundesluftwaffe was being formed under NATO. Hartmann became an instructor and squadron leader. His teaching focused on preparation, realism, and safety. He believed that air combat should never be romanticized. Survival and clarity of judgment mattered more than heroics. His frankness sometimes clashed with bureaucracy, but among pilots, his authority was unquestioned. By the 1970s, he retired from service, leaving behind a reputation not tied to politics, but to professional excellence. He later worked in civil aviation and remained an admired figure among aviators worldwide. Erich Hartmann died in 1993, but his record still stands as the highest in aviation history. Historians often ask whether his success came from personal genius or the conditions of the Eastern Front. Likely it was both. Constant opportunities combined with extraordinary skill and discipline. His story illustrates how mastery comes not only from daring, but from patience, awareness, and the refusal to take unnecessary risks. Even today, pilots study the methods of past aces, and Hartmann's philosophy, strike with precision, survive above all, remains relevant. History often remembers numbers and extremes, but Hartmann's true significance lies in showing how clarity of thought and discipline can prevail even in chaos. His life is not just a statistic of war, but a study in human resilience and focus. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss new journeys into the past.